This mother brutally chopped off her own daughter's toes just so she could fit into Cinderella's slipper and marry the prince. But just as the eldest daughter was about to leave with the prince, blood began to seep from her foot. Realizing the truth was exposed, the stepmother had no choice but to let the second daughter try on the shoe. When she still couldn't fit, the mother cut off her heel. The second daughter forced herself to walk out to meet the prince, but before she could even make it down the stairs, the pain overwhelmed her and she collapsed. Finally, it was Cinderella's turn to try on the shoe. The moment the prince saw her, he felt a strange sense of familiarity. He personally helped Cinderella put on the slipper and immediately recognized her as its true owner, then took her back to the palace. The prince and Cinderella held a grand wedding, but the spotlight wasn't only on them. It also belonged to the eldest prince and Rapunzel. Earlier, the witch had discovered Rapunzel secretly meeting the eldest prince. Enraged, she blinded the prince and cast Rapunzel into a swamp. Yet their love was real, and guided only by Rapunzel's singing, the two found their way back to each other. When Rapunzel saw the blind prince, she couldn't hold back her tears. Miraculously, her tears restored his sight. The two returned to the palace and held their wedding on the same day as Cinderella's. Everyone celebrated and blessed them, but this was not the end of the fairy tale. A giant suddenly appeared, throwing the entire kingdom into chaos. The eldest and second princes left their brides behind and rushed into the forest to investigate. The origin of the giant traces back to a boy named Jack. Earlier, a hunter had traded 5 magic beans for Jack's cow. When Jack told his mother, she flew into a rage and tossed the beans onto the ground. Unexpectedly, a massive beanstalk grew overnight. Jack climbed it and discovered a giant, and from then on, he repeatedly stole the giant's belongings. Later, Jack met Little Red Riding Hood and bragged about his exploits. When she didn't believe him, he stole the giant's heart, completely enraging the giant. The giant tried to climb down to punish Jack, but Jack cut the rope, causing the giant to fall to his death. The story should have ended there. However, a few days ago, the hunter's wife also gave Cinderella a magic bean. Cinderella casually threw it onto the ground, and another beanstalk and giant appeared. This new giant sought revenge for the dead one and began searching everywhere for Jack. After learning the full story, everyone quickly gathered to figure out what to do. By then, the hunter's wife had given birth, and they regrouped with the witch, Cinderella, and the others. At this moment, the prince revealed his darker intentions. He pulled the hunter's wife aside under the pretense of resting for a minute. Overcome with emotion, she accidentally fell off a cliff and died. Left behind, Cinderella and the others had no choice but to unite and plan how to deal with the giant. The witch sacrificed herself, turning her body into a swamp. When the giant arrived, Cinderella and the others pelted him with stones. The giant fell into the swamp and died on the spot, finally ending the crisis. The prince came to find Cinderella and tried to take her back to the palace, but Cinderella had already learned of his actions from the little birds. She refused to go with him and instead chose to stay with the hunter and help raise his child.